What is up, runners? With the Marathon Alpha literally less than a week away, I wanted to go over what I've found so far in the trailers and the gameplay footage from a bunch of the creators and stuff who have been posting things about the alpha they went to last week. So, I have watched hours and hours of videos going frame by frame, looking for things that they mouse over just to copy down all the data and put into like this big spreadsheet that I'm making. Uh, I don't know if I'm going to make this public or not just yet. If you guys really want, maybe I will. But I'm going to show it off a little bit today, show you what's in here. I don't know if this is going to be comprehensive or if the numbers are going to change or not, but I'll probably work on it a little bit more during the alpha, assuming I get in, and try and maybe make it public then once we have a bunch more information. But I have to get a little bit more organized, make it look pretty before any of that probably ever happens. But looking at this, I was starting with the enemies, because originally I wanted to do a video about the enemies in the game and what they were doing. So I've ended up with the UESC recruit and drone, so it's being worth about 5 XP and having 1 rep. But these recruits seem to be the ones with riot shields, as well as that melee lunge. You can see kind of what I have with special notes here for some of these. For example, the sniper, who is the UESC scout, has a laser attached to them. There's this whole group of little specialized units that have 7 XP, as well as they drop 3 faction rep. I should probably tell you what these columns all mean, and I'm thinking about it. So we do have XP, which is your regular XP, it seems like. Your faction rep, which is your reputation for the factions. Basically XP to level up those to unlock more things to buy. Notes is where I'm going to add special things or weird things that don't fit into one of the other categories. We have what kind of shields they have, as well as if they have shields. It doesn't seem like they always do sometimes, but if they do have one, it's the highest one that I've seen on them. The abilities is things like the grenades, or this riot shield, or the ghost commander ability to make clones and turn invisible. Ammo is what ammo I've seen them drop. So recruits drop light ammo. These ghost commanders I saw drop volt batteries, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. As well as the weapons I've seen them drop. So I've seen both of these, the recruit and the assault commander, drop the conquest LMG, but the recruit also drops the overrun and the long shot. Now, I put these as the 4 just because I heard somebody mention that the ticks are from Marathon 2s that they named one of the Marathon 1 enemies. The little explodey guys, I guess. They don't really look the same, but I get it. Maybe that's just what they look like now. But these guys just explode, and they spawn from a hive. No XP, no shields, just it looks like they pop instantly. And then the compilers in here, because Xperia did confirm in his video that compilers are in the game. Is there more? We'll have to find out. Now, runners I have here just because I wanted to note if you kill or execute a player, you get 35 XP and 25 faction rep, which is pretty good compared to all of these enemies. However, you will also be killing way more of these enemies than you will players. So with enemies wrapped up, let's look at the weapons that we've seen so far. These are most of the stats. 1 or 2 of these might be out of date by like a trailer showing footage that's older than the gameplay, but this is what I found for them. You'll see that there's the standard version, the enhanced versions, as well as these deluxe versions. From what I've heard, the rarity of the weapon is based on the mods, not the weapon itself. So some of these stats on the enhanced and the deluxe ones are affected by mods, while these gray ones should be the default values. But take that with a grain of salt. You can also see the kind of ammo that they take here. You've got light ammo weapons, heavy ammo weapons, MIPS, which is shotgun rounds, and then the volt shots, which volt is like energy rounds, and they seem to be basically batteries. And if you reload before it's empty, you lose the remaining amount of that battery. So a little rougher to use, but these weapons seems pretty powerful. This is like the railgun, right? Or this V95 lookout is a like sniper equivalent. Looks pretty good, pretty high damage. I don't know if the damage, this firepower stat I assume is damage, is gun to gun. So I don't know if the 20 is equal equivalently to about this 18.5, or if they are based solely on their weapon type. For example, in Destiny, auto rifles are compared to auto rifles in terms of damage. Their damage stat does not compare with an SMG at all. They're totally independent. So I can't confirm whether that is the case or not, or if this directly translates into body shot damage or anything like that. But the value that we got for the damages. You can see the accuracy here, control, which should be kind of your recoil, your handling, which should be your swap speed and ADS speed. Surprisingly, nothing even like hits 50 here. I believe the max should be 100, considering control goes that high, it looks like. But we'll have to wait and see. We have range in meters, which is probably the distance in meters that it goes before fall off comes in for your damage. I didn't see bullet drop as far as I could tell, but I wasn't necessarily looking for that. We also have the reload speed here in seconds. As you can see, the precision rifle here, oops, the repeater HPR, which is a lever action, reloads 1 round at a time. There's a 1.1 per round. But something like the Magnum here has 2.3 for the whole clip. And then the slowest one we had was the LMG, which unsurprisingly takes about 7 seconds. But you do have 50 rounds in the mag, versus something like the repeater, which is I have it here using Volt. This is probably 9 rounds in the mag, not 9%. Might have autofilled. And then the energy ones, you'll see things like up here with the Volt thrower, it takes 1.9%. I think part of this might be the incorrect formatting. It might have started doing percentages instead of just taking what I was entering, which I let it autofill, and that's my fault. RPM, which is our rounds per minute. This does not seem to include reload time, so this is just if you were going to shoot for an entire minute, the rounds that you would fire in that time frame. Looks like our best RPM is the Overrun AR so far, 720, which is pretty standard for something in Destinies like the Necrochasm, the Huckleberry. They shoot at that fire rate. And then the slowest we have is the Sniper Rifle, surprisingly, at 60 RPM. And then we have the value, which is how much it says it sells for. A lot of these are going to have to include mods, so take the value with a grain of salt, but that's just what we saw on them. Now, the runner page is bare bones. I wasn't really looking into doing the runner stuff at the start. I was kind of focusing on the enemies. But I'm going to come back in and do this eventually. We have the cooldowns, which seems to be about 81 for both of these. I believe Locust is a lower cooldown than that, but I don't know if that includes it being broken or if it's just him holding it. And then the ultimates are about 240, a little bit longer. I think I saw one that was about 320, but I'll have to go back through and double check that. And these are all kind of things you can see with Scarab's video. What I want to really look at is things like the cores, implants, and meds here. I have just a bunch of cool things in here. My favorites are definitely the ones that are higher rarity. They have a lot of cool effects. For example, this risk/reward one worth 1,000 credits. And when you break your shields, you get to move faster. Pretty cool. Don't know how effective that actually is, but it sounds like something that's useful to have. Probably worth 1,000 in a game like this where dying is no bueno. You don't come back. That said, if you want to examine these, you can always pause and read these. I'll even zoom it in a little bit just so you guys can get a better look at that. And then we'll look at the implants really quick. There are a lot here, and there's also a special note I want to have on this one. So I saw a lot of Protector V1s, which is your basic shield, basically. I believe it was just one slot. So whenever you see somebody with just one shield bar, they usually have this Protector V1 in there. There were higher rarities of it. Can't sort this right now because it moves everything but the screenshot. So we have Protector V3 here, which was a purple, worth 900 and 3 shield slots. I don't think I saw the 4, but I'm assuming that's how it worked. Eventually you'll see the gold one with 4. But on this Protector V1, I did see one person have this borrowed thing, which we learned from somebody else. I think Scarrow's most recent video did it, or somebody else might have mentioned it. But if your friend brings you in something and drops it for you, it will have this borrowed tag so that when you extract, if you extract and live, it goes back to your teammate instead of to you. So, cool little status thing, anti kind of giving your teammate everything tech, but you still kind of just bring it in every round, I assume. So, it doesn't stop it, it makes it more difficult to give your teammates things. That said, we do see graceful landings here, which is one of those implants that Xperia was talking about in the gameplay reveal, where you get something that reduced fall damage. So this reduces fall damage and then also gives you agility stats. I don't know how exactly the stats translate over. They seem to be pretty Destiny-ish, where you ramp them up for a passive effect, but I haven't seen anybody talk about each stat individually. That's something we're probably going to see in the alpha. But for now, a lot of these will give you passive stats, you'll see. as well as for the weapon mods. When we get to the weapon mods, you'll see a lot of them are very nitty gritty. I kind of gave up on the weapon mods halfway through putting things down here. But yeah, another couple interesting things. We have Volt Resistance, which gives you reduced damage from the bots. Does not work against players, but damage resist against bots is pretty solid. We have Self-Repair Speed, which I saw a tooltip for that says it'll give you passive regen. Never once did I see passive regen kick in any of the gameplay. I saw doing an execution on somebody triggering health or shield regen, and there was a upgrade that we'll see later that gives you health regen as well when you do an execution. I did not see any passive, but I don't know if maybe they should have this equipped or something, but self-repair speed should be passive regen. We do have revive speed there as well, so nice little team thing. There is a set that will give you increased ping duration, which is pretty cool. And then we have shields taking half damage. I don't know if that applies to players or not. It just does half damage. Seems pretty powerful for green if it lets you take half damage to your shields. And then we have our first gold. It might be our only gold that we saw. This was worth 9,000, which is kind of insane. That's a really good value, but to be fair, we only saw the one, so it makes sense that it would be most expensive. But this Nimble Fingers V5, I assume we'll see lower versions of it somewhere. Lets you ping loot when you open a crate. Anything nearby should pop up on your screen. With that, you also get a bunch of loot speed, which is the speed at which you reveal the kind of blanked out items while searching things. And then, some other passive benefits which don't seem too crazy. Agility, cool, hip fire accuracy. Okay. Those are the interesting ones I wanted to point out. Again, I'll scroll through this slowly just so you want to pause. Oh, okay, I say slowly. Just in case you want to pause, you look at these, feel free to do so. And then meds, this is all the meds, so you can pause this whenever. We have the patch kit, mechanics kit, and OS reboot are all the base versions. I'm sorry, there should be a shield charge in there, but I never actually saw them pull up the shield charge, just a large shield charge. I saw the mouse over. So we have the data for the large shield charge, which is up to 4 slots. The patch kit looks like it is a quarter of the health bar. The large patch kit is your full health bar. Mechanics kit and the OS reboots are for status debuffs. One of them is technically physical, quote unquote, and one of them is obviously operating system, so EMP and hack. I did put, their base thing in there. And their advanced versions do also give you a stat bonus, which somebody has said you need. I believe it is the advanced OS kit firewall stat to get into certain areas because it will damage you if you not have it. So I don't know exactly what else that's used for, but in terms of having that so you can go and do different PvE encounters, seems pretty important. We also have Cardio Kick here, which is like a stim that we have in Tarkov, which once you pop it, it gives you reduced stamina buildup and improves your agility, so you get to sprint longer and more often. Pretty cool. Probably going to be pretty valuable. At 90, that sounds like you could probably buy it most games. It's just slightly more than one of these kits. We also have the Energy Amp kit, which increases your ability recharge. Don't know how strong that is. I didn't see anybody use it, but we did see it picked up. We also have the Self-Revive and the Panacea kit. Both of these are purples. One of them allows you to revive yourself when downed. I assume you can buy this. If not, loot it in Raid. If you're able to buy this at higher levels, I think that would make solo a lot more viable. Not as viable as duos or trios, but it would at least help you a bit if you're playing farther away. And the Panacea kit is just full heal, no status debuffs. To do really quickly, in regards to these OS reboots and mechanics kit, I did see something that lets you team-wide heal, but it might have been a back. There was something in here that lets you do a team-wide heal whenever you used your negative status things. Here we go. Renal Cleanse. It was a core. Removing negative status effects with a consumable also removes it from ally. So you can be a team healer if only one of you wants to bring that in. These seem to be pretty cool effects on the cores. None of them are game changing as far as I've seen. Maybe my favorite is this finisher one giving you health. I thought it was a skill upgrade, but I guess it was 4. Something like moving faster and reloading weapons while crouched. Okay, okay. It doesn't really compete with any of these ones, but I guess it's cheaper, so it's not supposed to. I think that's all for the meds. Let's look at the utility really quick. We can see a couple different backpacks, right? 24 slot backpack, 8 slot backpack, we have a 16 slot backpack there. The standard ones are just space. And then we also have a couple variants. We have the ammo pack, which is like auto loading from Destiny, reloads 10% of your mag every 2 seconds. And then we have the med pack, which lets you use them slightly faster. Yeah, health and shield consumable. So pretty good. Not a really crazy effect. Maybe if you can drop the backpack for your teammates, you can help them heal faster too. Not really concerned with that though. Backpack is backpack. There was a signal jammer that I haven't seen anybody talk about or anybody use, but it says it scrambles how your runner appears to other. I don't know what that means. It might make you fuzzy or glow less or something. We'll have to see what that really looks like when people start playing and gameplay comes out. We have the Claymore Mine, the Chem Grenade, and the Frag Grenade. These all do exactly what I think they do. There's a Frag Grenade, a Mine. And the Chem Grenade is the interesting one. That's the one that they throw a couple times in the trailer and the gameplay overview. Hits, explodes, leaves a goo puddle that is toxic, that does damage over time, and makes enemies leave footprints when they walk out of it. So if you're trying to chase somebody down, they can be kind of useful. We also did see a smoke grenade. This was like for 1 frame in 1 video. I'd have to go through and find it to find the 1 frame where it shows. Smoke grenades are in the game. They are pretty cheap. And if you can buy them, 1, this lets you break sight lines, which is really good. Smokes are really good in extraction theaters. But I want to point out that Void has a passive that always turns him invisible when entering smoke. Most of his abilities, the smoke screen and the shadow dive, don't turn you invisible on their own, but they turn you invisible because they make smoke. So if you're buying smoke grenades, you and your team could bring in a bunch of smoke grenades and just turn invisible with those and save your cooldown. I don't recommend that. Maybe I do recommend that. If you start doing that, do not say I'm the one that told you to do it, but that's out there. So, smoke grenades, goodbye. We did see 1 sponsored kit, and somebody moused over it. Worth $300 to buy from the store. And the description is that you get weapon, ammo, shield charges, patch kits. It looked like you got 5 shields, 5 health items. And I saw 2 weapons and like not a bunch of really low amount of ammo. But it looks like it's just enough to get you some PvE kills, and they'll drop more ammo, more guns, and you can kind of work with what you get. But you can buy these from the black market, and you can only have that or other items. You can't bring your own ammo and bring this with you. You can't bring your own meds and bring this with you. You have to bring this and only this, and then it opens and gives you, a kit. Or you load in with your kit. This is kind of what they were talking about when you're down in your luck. You have no items, so you can't buy. You just buy a random kit and go in. It looked like you could buy 5 of these per trader reset. I don't know what the timer was on the reset, but it said you could buy 5 of them. And they did say if you get down below the 300 mark and you can't buy these, you will get free. But this is their option if you're down in your luck, instead of going for a scav and going in with broken gear and spawning in the middle of the match. It's a little bit more like Hunt, where you get to buy a character, RNG kit, go in. Should make it pretty easy to spam games, but not totally free, unfortunately. Once you get lower, it'll be free, but I couldn't confirm what they give you or not, We saw a lot of materials. I don't want to go through all of these. For the majority of these, they are Cyberacme, Praxis, New Caloric, Mida, right? Vendor upgrades and vendor unlock. I don't know exactly what they consider which, but you'll be able to turn in some of these to buy items on the black market, as well as trade them in for skill upgrade. There might be other uses for them, hard to say, but most of these seem to be on a similar kind of path. For example, there was steel rods, There were aluminum rods. I don't know if I wrote that down. That was in something else. But you'll see zero gel, you'll see liquid explosives and putty explosives, and they kind of go for similar vendors, but they just go higher and higher in rarity for higher and higher upgrades or items you buy. They sell not for terribly much. These purple ones go for quite a bit, but these green ones are pretty much just for upgrade. Now, valuables is probably our longest list. There are about 30 items on here. Most of these auto sell. You'll see a lot of auto sell here, auto sell, and then if you go down just a bit more, there's auto sell for faction rep. Some of these items you'll pick up. When you make it out, you'll get a rep boost, like a contagion assay. Some of these are weapon mods. I gave up on weapon mods partway through. There's just so many things to add in here, and they seem to be contextual based on the weapon. And I didn't know what stats were really being changed and what the changed value was, so I didn't want to put too much confusion out there with some of these. So you'll see just like crouch accuracy, aim assist handling. But this is a sniper mod that gives extra rate of fire per headshot. This is a precision barrel that just gives you stats. There is this, which is a rifle mod that gives you stability and ADS speed. So, they're not crazy. They're mods. They're about what you expect for modifying your weapon, right? The more interesting things I saw were things like this, a lost contract, which apparently if you pick it up and then you leave with it, you get a new quest for the specific vendor that it is. So this new caloric one would get you a quest with new caloric, assuming you are rank 1 or higher. I also saw a Traxxas one down here. So these seem to be looted off of random boxes and enemies. I don't think it came off a runner. I think it was off of AI. But those are things to look out for. There are these quest items that you can pick up, and it will share XP and money with your team when you exfil. This was when people were shooting down some of the ships or doing some of the terminals. They got these to drop. And then there was a key, which some people have shown off now, but you got a key on the Dire Marsh map to the Terrace map, and it basically gives you access for the rest of the match whenever you use it. I've heard the keys are pretty high value. They have good loot behind them, so these are things to keep an eye out for. As well as we have these data cards, which instantly give you money to your vault out of raid. If you find one of these, you would get $200. Your whole team gets it. You don't have to extract with it. So on the event that you are running matches totally broke, you find a couple of these, you get guaranteed money. These seem to be replacing the secure container that you would have in Tarkov or some other extraction shooters, where instead of putting things in there to guaranteed get out and then sell it for money, they're just giving you the money, cutting out the middleman. Which I don't think is a bad move, but if you do see these, just pick them up. And then have some more random things in here. Most of these are, just sell items, apart from this really interesting purple. But I have not seen a yellow mod, unfortunately. I would love to put it in here whenever somebody finds one. If anybody finds a yellow mod in the alpha, send me a screenshot of it and I will add it in here. Now, our last thing we have here is the faction upgrades that I've seen. So it looks like every faction has their own track rep, and then you can upgrade their rep further and spend money as well as these materials to come in and buy upgrades. These upgrades can affect your in-game stats as well as your black market. So if you're looking at the Cyber Acme up here, you will see that there is a Cyber Acme expansion that whoever I saw had already bought it, so I couldn't see what it cost, but it gave them 8 more rows in their vault. As well as a plus plus that gave you another 8 rows. And I'm assuming there was a plus in between that gave them another 8 rows. But you can see this one up here was $6,000, 8 flex processors, 6 lab zero gels, which these are high rarity materials, right? These are purples and blues. And then the ones down here, like the Lifeline EXD, which gives you 5 revive speed, was $1,250, and then these were just like green material. You can get in-game things like this revive speed, and this self-repair speed, which this is where it said it was passive heal. You can get bolt size, so things to help you out of game, as well as these ones that will give you unlock. So if you buy explosives, you can start buying frag grenades from Cyberacne on the black market, as well as standard gadgets on this one. And if we go down to new caloric, you can see that you can buy the unlock for the enhanced backpacks, which are green, as well as increase the stock green backpack. So I don't know how many you normally get to see and what the upgrades do. They didn't buy most of these or show it off, right? And they might have not even been able to actually refresh the stores in the alpha. So this is stuff I expect us to learn about while playing this next week. So keep an eye out for that. Praxis has leg implant, which I'm assuming gives you speed and stuff, as well as heat recovery rate. This looks like a good one. Gives you more stamina just forever. Well, until wipe, because they're going to be doing seasonal wipes on these. These are what wipe every season, along with your inventory. But this is like your long-term progression for the season. We also get shields from Traxxas. You'll get some discounts on some of those implants, as well as getting like extra recharge for finishing, which I don't know if that's like an immediate bump and then the passive kicks in. I'll show some footage of what it looks like when you normally execute somebody and it starts healing. So I don't know what exactly this is supposed to do, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, this is pretty much everything that I've seen looking through all of the footage frame by frame. So if you're interested in this, let me know. I'll post the link eventually, I guess. You can remind me if you want. I will add more to this in the alpha, and probably once it's a place where I'm happy with it, release it. We'll see. If you have anything that like I missed, if you see things, if you play the alpha and get the screenshot things, you can link those, post them on Imgur, or send a link in a chat or something. Send them on Discord. You can ping me in Jake's chat. I don't care. But if you want to send those to me, I can add them in here, and then we can probably make this a public resource or something. I don't know if I want to be the spreadsheet guy, but right now I'm the spreadsheet guy, so I'm happy with that. I like spreadsheets. But yeah, if this was interesting to you, if you saw anything in here that you didn't see before, any of this is interesting, leave a like, subscribe. I'm going to do some stuff about the weapons and some of the other things in here just on their own, and show more gameplay footage of all that. But I wanted to show you guys what I was working on, because this has been eating up my days, and I feel like I'm going crazy doing it. My eyes are burning from watching so many frames over and over. But this is everything that we've seen so far, minus what Scarrow put out today. And once the alpha comes out, there's going to be, 1.5 million things. That's going to take way longer to put into the spreadsheet than I already have. But if we work together, I'm sure we could get it all together. But yeah, I hope to see you all in the alpha. If you haven't heard, the alpha NDA has been canceled. So anybody who gets into the alpha can both stream, record, upload footage, make videos, whatever you want to do with that footage. It is no longer under NDA. So if I get in, I will definitely be posting at least gameplay, if not breakdowns, tips, whatever I can think of with footage. If you get in, I highly, suggest you record footage and show off the game. If I don't get in, I'll be watching you guys. So I'm relying on you to give me things to talk about. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Been a long time. I can't believe it's been 30 minutes of me standing here blabbing. But I will see you all again very, very soon, hopefully with a video before we get to alpha.